Countdown is running.
Yes.
Waiting for Jan, and then we can start.
Welcome back, everybody. Today again, Alex, Thomas, and Ricardo.
Hi.
Hello.
We will continue then with the main updates of Data Studio of 2022 so far. We covered the first 4 or 5 on last week's video, and this week we'll continue with the last one. So, Google Maps. I think Google Maps has had a bit of a journey through Data Studio. In the beginning, there was a bit of limitations there of how one could visualize geographical data. We were using this GeoMaps option that were very limited, actually.
Embedded mode, for example, which was
embedded mode then with
221.
Google Maps. And now there's been it's nicer update to visualize Google Maps.
Yeah, so they add 2 types of the Google Maps chart. The one is really cool, I think, is the heat maps. So I think you see it sometimes in earthquakes or something like that. I think. So we have heat maps. So that means you can put the location data behind and then a metric. And then due to the how do you say it? The increasing amount of the
Value.
the metric, the value. It shows then the first steps are green, then it's going to yellow, and then to red. For example, when we use our bike share example, then you have your map of San Francisco, and then you have the different capacities for the different stations, and due to how good the capacity is, it's then green, yellow, or red. So that is quite cool. Not sure, do you use it already in some of your reports?
No. I think for e-commerce cases, for example, I think it's just good with good bubbles on top of the map. I think for me that's enough.
And then there's one other thing. They added it now some weeks ago, at least when we now recording it, is the line map layer or chart. Yes, so there you can put some geographical data behind, and then, for example, you can get some data from the streets from Washington, San Francisco, wherever you want. But there also the geographical data has to be in the correct format and so on, and then you get the traffic from streets and so on, and
Why is it called line?
Due to that, it's always shows lines. So this example they showed, for example, in the release notes was for streets, that they draw the streets there and then put a metric behind. For example, there could be then the traffic on the streets. So I do not see really the use case behind. Maybe there is some kind of a crazy thing you can do when people are more experienced with that. I don't know. So you can draw lines around your around
if you have
your
nice
world.
ideas how to do that, then what to basically use, then write something in a comment. We're really excited. At least for us, it's not
really, but just to at least name it. Then I think one other thing is the cross filtering.
Yeah, this is something that we would activate on almost every dashboard that we created, because it's something that really shows the people using the dashboard the flexibility that having their data in a dashboard gives them. No, so cross filtering means if you click on any element of a table, of a diagram or something, then all the other elements in the dashboard are then filtered according to what you clicked on. No,
so it's super nice.
Yeah, so if you have a pie chart with countries, you click on the country, and then the table that you have with all the orders automatically filters and shows only the orders that happen in that country.
With the pie chart, for example, you can use the legend, right, for clicking on it. So you can even basically click on the values of the legend and say, hey, give me only Germany, or give me another country, or just a certain industry. And I think for me, it really makes a difference if you have a very big dashboard and you have a lot of like pie charts inside, or a lot of other fields, if you can like click them through. And it depends a little bit on the diagram or on the table you use. So for table, it's obvious. You can click on a certain line, and then basically the rest is filtering based on the value you click. For the charts, it depends a little bit on which kind of chart you use, right? For the
Mhm.
pie charts, I'm not even sure if you can click on the pie chart directly. I think
Yes, you
it's
can.
is
You
it
can.
working? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can also use the legend, which is sometimes even better than the pie chart itself. For column charts, bar charts, obvious, can also click inside. And then you have also those time series
There you can get
charts.
a range, right?
And there you can really like draw a range, or how do you do click,
Yeah.
stay there, and then draw a range.
Anyway, so this is by default now.
Exactly.
So like before, you just need to go into this secondary style panel and click on cross filtering, and now it's just by default, which is nice.
Yeah. In general, if you never used it, test it because it's really nice.
And I think you can also select more than just one value by clicking Command and left click. I think
Yes,
on Mac
yes.
keyboards.
On the Mac, it's Command.
I think on
Windows,
Windows
it's
Control,
probably then Control. Yeah.
but not Control.
I
But
guess
yeah,
so.
I think so.
Just general thing, if you then click again on it, it deselects it. Just so, like if you click on the country, click again, and then it filters.
But is it so? Especially maybe you can say it in terms of when you're showing it to people, do they get it quickly, or is it more like they also have to try a little bit around, or are they also a little bit confused about it? What would you say?
No, I think it's quite easy to grasp. I think it's not something that people do intuitively.
Yeah, you have to tell them, right?
So you're not used to clicking, but then once you click, especially if you have a chart next to a table, and then they can just see how the filter is. I sometimes add an additional column to the table that then I'd remove, maybe, that is connected to the filter, no? So for example, again, going back to the example of the country, like if I have a pie chart with the countries, I put in the table also the name of the country, maybe at the beginning, no? So then they see the table that is mixed with all the countries. Then I click on Germany, and then all the other countries go out, and the table only has Germany. Maybe it's not important for the end result to have the country there in that place in the table, but I put it so, and then it's just like straight away.
But if you're an internal data team and you basically use that, I think one important point, we also said it when we did the video directly about cross filtering. Very important thing is like to explain that to your team and maybe also show them what kind of possibilities they have in terms of cross filtering, that they can click inside a chart, or that they can click on the legend, how to remove that, because sometimes they also get confused when then the filters are inside, like how to basically reset them. I think that need to be explained because it's not intuitive, but the moment you use it and you know how it works, it's a super like good feature, which is really improving your dashboard.
And I think it's always just on page level, right? When you're clicking on something, there's not a possibility to.
No, it's on page level, I guess.
To change the page, then it's
the
there
normal
also.
filters are basically for the whole report. If the filter is basically for the whole report, obviously, but the rest is just for the page.
Which I think is also good, because when you are
otherwise it would be really confusing.
Yeah, cross filtering on one page, changing the page, and then you see also the pages, the data changes here. Yes. Okay, then the next one is a quick one. A quick one. So you can now you can select for every table, you can select on the right side in one of the settings how many data you show on one page of the table, and then you can also add the pagination to it, that you can also then switch to other pages.
Rows, basically. How many rows?
Rows, you show. Yes, and that they increase Data Studio increased that size of showing on one page 50,000 rows maximum.
What was it before? Do you know?
100, I think.
I think a little bit more.
At one point it was 100, then it was 1,000, like to show at the same time, or do you mean like in the pagination? Like...
No, on one page, and then you can change that. But I think it was So, but yes, now it's So I think also when you So when you clicking on pagination again, then it's sending out a new query to BigQuery, right? And then So due to when you're showing 50,000 tables. So at first check for sure so for sure check at first that you have a good sorting, so that you always have for sure the most important data at the top. And then I don't know if you need in any cases 50,000 rows on one thing.
I think
what's the ideal number?
The ideal number is you wanted to check that basically. It was something around
27,322.
Yeah.
Can you check that? That was the right number? Okay. Cool.
Just usually go for 100 or do top 100 or do top 10. I think rarely someone needs more.
I mean,
than that.
there are probably use cases for that, right?
Maybe.
So there are two things. First of all, would you like to use pagination or like show every data like for scrolling? I think the biggest difference is that if you make it for scrolling, then it's not really natural, because if you with the mouse basically inside the div of the table, then it scrolls inside the table. If you're outside, it scrolls the report, right? So if your report has a bigger height than screen size, it's a little bit problematic, because they're basically, is it intuitive or not? So when you know how to use it, it's easy to use. If you don't know, you're a little bit frustrated, because sometimes the table is scrolling, sometimes the report is scrolling. So you need to know how that works. And second of all, if you say, okay, I would like to have a table which I can scroll inside, then I think it could be up to 50,000. I think that Data Studio is basically getting 50,000 entries and will query for them. On the other side, they will probably lazy load that. So I don't think that we talked about performance already before the video. I think, Alex, you tested it. You
Yeah,
said
so-
it's definitely a little bit slower, right?
I would say so.
Yeah. But I also think that if you only have in your viewport, like, let's say 25 or 50 elements you see, BigQuery will probably not load 50K into the DOM or into the browser. We could check that in the network field. Maybe we'll do that after the video. What happens if you then scroll down? If basically the front end will receive more data. Yeah.
Yeah.
But good that it's working, right? Good that you can go up to 50,000.
Sure. The possibility to that is good.
From tables, we go to pivot tables.
Yes.
That also change a bit.
Yeah. So now you can add, as you can also do for normal tables, I think, and also some other things. You can have now optional metrics. I think this optional metrics is also one thing we discovered a little bit more in the last weeks, months. So before we were not the biggest fan of it. But now I think we use it in sometimes. Especially, I think you also have to check who is using the data and is he.
I need to know it, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's also not intuitive.
So I think some people liked it. Some people say, maybe sometimes I want to see that metric, sometimes not. So due to that, then you say, okay, then we add this metric as optional metric. Yes, and that you can now do for sure already in tables and so on. And now you can also do it in pivot tables. And I think even there, it's good to have these optional metrics, because to show 4 or 5 KPIs in one pivot table for one cell or column and row combination and so on, it's getting quite not intuitive to see all the data. But there you can then select, okay, which metric I want to show now. That's quite good. Yes. Then the linking API. The linking API is a big new thing in Data Studio. And there is already a blog post out of from us in Medium, so we can push the link to in the description.
Link to the linking API.
Link to the LinkedIn.
Yes.
Not LinkedIn.
Linking.
Damn it. Linking API.
But just to wrap up the idea behind. The idea behind is that you always have a static URL. It's, I don't know, datastudio.google.com, I think, /report/create. And then in the parameters, you do all the custom stuff. So at first you give there the report ID, so that you get usually out of, when you're in editing mode or in the normal view mode, you get it out of the URL. Then you can do with another parameter, you can add then the page ID, so that you get also out of the normal URL when you're inside the report. Then you can also do other stuff like should the viewer show the report or see the report in view mode or in edit mode. So as I said, which page he should show, and so on and so on. So you can do some kind of an API, or you can create some kind of an interface to your Data Studio reports, where you are doing some custom stuff with this linking API.
If I can ask, what's the difference to basically the URL structure you had before, which had also quite fixed structure?
Yeah, so due to that, I would say due to this parameter approach, it's a little bit more dynamical. So because you have always the static field at the beginning, the static URL, and then you can do everything behind. You can also do copying and changing data sources with this linking API. A bit more advanced, as I said, we don't talk about in detail in this video. You can check for that the blog post, because you also have to show there a lot of stuff, how it's working and so on. But it's quite comprehensive, and you can do a lot of stuff with that. You can also change stuff for the Google Analytics data sources, Google Ads data sources, and so on.
We should make a little bit longer operational video about that.
You could also do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
But so just to give some explanations, it's quite cool. I think the first step is to improve the access to the reports in some ways. But then you can also, as the editor of the report especially, you can also change data sources. Copying reports, I think, is also possible. Yes.
Good.
We have 2 more. Can we make it? We can make it. Let's go.
We'll make it.
So then one thing we can also quickly discuss in the BigQuery part, just to quickly say it. I think in BigQuery it makes maybe a little bit more sense, but when you're inside BigQuery and you're querying your data in your output table, you can click on the right top of the output tab. You can click on explore your data with Data Studio. And then a new Data Studio report and a new tab gets opened with a new data source, which is just available in that report. And then you get a bar chart and a table, also with a small title above it. Not sure. I think it's the name of the data source. So I don't know what's exactly the name. Yes, then you get some data, and then you can also do some calculations, put some more metrics behind, some new charts. It's quite cool, I think, especially when another person or something is checking the output. She can quickly also show it in Data Studio to get some more insights, grouping quickly data, getting aggregations. I think it's quite good.
I think, Ricardo, we can go. Alex is covering that topic today.
And the last thing is the new data panel. Maybe you already recognized it, Ricardo?
Yes.
On the right side.
Next to the right.
Yeah. So there's popping up on one day the big new...
Bam, it was there.
This new thing. So quickly to say it. In this data panel, you have all your connected data sources in it. And it also shows the connector, which is quite cool. So you see which data comes from Google Sheets, which comes from BigQuery, and so on and so on. So that is quite good. And then you can expand every data source, and there you see then the available fields, which are calculated fields, the data type you see also. And there you can also create calculated fields. So
while staying in the report, right?
Yes.
That's the really good and new thing here.
So you don't have to go anymore to data sources, data source, clicking on create new fields. You can just expand it there and then click on create field. So it's way more easier. Yes, really, really good. And I think it makes the whole workflow of creating dashboards way easier.
Yeah, I think that was quite nice that they saw that how reducing the path by I think 3 or 4 clicks with the corresponding loading times is very nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Q1, Q2.
Q2.
Did we forget something?
I think
so there are for sure also some more stuff. I don't know, sometimes Google Ads gets some more columns in the connectors and so on.
But if you would like to see more details, there's a blog post for every month of Data Studio, BigQuery, Google Analytics, and GTM news. It's also published on our basically Medium site. It's published on Geek Culture Medium, I think.
And who wrote that blog post?
I don't know. Is there anyone? Of course, Alex wrote it. Very nice work, Alex. Every month, people can see that and don't need to look into the single releases of the single tools. So thanks for your work, Alex. Do that for the next month. I'm also reading that, by the way. I really like that because then I also don't need to do it. Otherwise, I do that today. Today I do that.
Okay,
Otherwise.
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, check out all the other stuff we have on YouTube. Basically, how do the YouTubers say? Ring the bell.
Yeah, we also already thought about it. Yeah, clicking on the bell. I don't know.
So follow us if you like. Do whatever you like. And see you next week.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.